start the recording. And there we are. My magical whiteboard. Okay, as always, I'm going to ask you, please kindly keep your mics turned off. And then if you have a question, as we did before, turn it on. We will discuss it. Anything that bothers you, and then turn it off again, okay? So chapter 8. Oh, chapter 8. Okay, I might have said several times previously, and I'm gonna say quite a number of times through the rest of the semester, for any given day in the economy, producers are producing just as much in goods and services as we consumers demand, okay? So quantity demanded equals quantity supplied, always on the scale of the entire economy. On any day for the entire economy. Okay, again, the only reason you see those goods offered for sale and sitting on the shelves in the stores or services is because we want them. Okay, so it's all about consumers and our demand. So when policymakers develop a policy, they're developing that policy with the purpose of making us either demand more or demand less, okay? Like, for example, these annoying pop-ups. For example, okay, when your mom wants you to do something, okay, she could try to push you, she could try to create an incentive, or some other relative or someone else who wants you to do something, okay? They try to find a pressure point to motivate you, right? Right? It doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, okay? Right? So when a policy is being developed by the government or central bank, it is developed with the one purpose only: to push those pressure points, okay? To make us, all the consumers, to demand more, to drive the production up, or to demand less, to push the production down, okay? So what chapter 8 does, it says, listen, we're all different. Look at how different our preferences are. Look how different our likes and dislikes are, okay? But at the end of the day, we're all consumers. All we want is to have a comfortable life, but having different preferences, different likes and dislikes, okay? So what chapter 8 does, it says, let's break all the consumers into separate groups. Let's discuss every group one at a time. Let's find those pressure points. So when you read about the policy, okay, for example, the freshest one that you can find in all the newspapers, COVID relief policy, right? We're going to be talking about that too. Who is it designed for? What pressure points this policy is supposed to press, and for what reason? All right? So chapter 8. Different consumers groups. And their pressure points. Okay, what incentive, what reasoning I have to come up with to make you do something? Okay, those kind of pressure points. Different group of consumers. So when we say all of us combined, remember, an aggregate consumer, that consumer's combined demand is an aggregate demand. Okay, so we're going to break this humongous demand by the entire population into subgroups. First, let's write it out. So aggregate demand equals capital C plus capital I plus capital G plus open parenthesis X minus I M close parenthesis. Okay? Every component on the right-hand side is a specific group of consumers. Okay, what chapter 8 does, it looks at every group, determines its pressure points, and explains what kind of pressure will make consumers move into one way or another way, make this decision or another decision. Okay, so aggregate demand, the left-hand side, AD stands for the aggregate demand or aggregated demand of all the consumers of the entire nation is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus IM. Okay. So capital C, the very first component on the right-hand side, stands for all the expenditure, all the spending done by regular consumers. Regular consumers like you and I, your friends, your parents. Okay. Okay. Sometimes regular consumers are also called households and denoted by double H. HH stands for household or regular consumers. Okay. All right. So capital C stands for all the money, all of it. Total spending done by regular consumers. The total spending done on goods and services that we consume on a regular basis. Okay. All right. Any questions about capital C? No? Okay. The next component is capital I. And capital I stands for business investment expenditure. Expenditure, and another fancy word for just spending. Capital I stands for how much money businesses spend in investments in their own production. Okay, so let's spend a minute, extra minute on capital I. I don't want you to misunderstand or be misled about capital I. It is about investments, but not about our individual investments. It's businesses, business investments that affect GDP directly. Like what? Buying new equipment, retraining the employees, expanding the business. All of it, every one of this, and all of it combined will increase the output of the business and therefore increase the output of the economy. Business expenditure that affect
Sorry, I'm late.
GDP, come on in, GDP directly. Okay, all right, so you came in late. We're discussing the overall aggregate demand that is broken down into 4 major components, where every component is a spending done by a specific group of consumers, okay?
Okay.
So capital C stands for spending done by regular consumers like you and I, okay? Or just conventional households, nothing specific. Capital I stands for business investment expenditure. That investment into businesses that affect GDP directly, not our individual investments. Let's put it down, not our individual investments.
And what do you mean by business investments? Like, does that mean they're like paying for their employees and stuff, or does that mean like investing in their product as a business?
It's the same thing. Okay, think
Okay.
about it. If you're running a business and you want to update your equipment, right? That's investment. You get rid of the old equipment, you buy a new one. You want to retrain your employees. Okay, you want to hire more. You want to train the newly hired. You want to branch out to nearby town or over the county line. Anything that you invest in your business, every dollar that you spend making your business better,
Okay, I got you.
okay, excellent, will be in capital I, not our individual tiny bit investments, not, okay, businesses. Okay, any other questions about I? No? Okay, so C, consumer's expenditure, plus I, business investment expenditure, plus G. Capital G stands for spending done by all levels of government. Spending done by all levels of government. Okay, our local city hall, town city hall, county level, state level, federal level. Okay, every time we run into a government agency, right, there are spendings, there are expenses to be counted in. Okay, as simple as computers or paper for printers or pencils or pens, right? Like any other business, government agencies run their own expenditure. On one hand, on the other hand, when you see roads being repaved or rebuilt, bridges are rebuilt, which is really extremely annoying for travelers, right? It's all government expenditure. Everything where you see money spent by the government goes into the capital G. Okay? Right? Social security payments, unemployment benefits, okay? Funds that state universities received, government expenditure, right? Okay, questions? No? Okay. So again, aggregate demand equals C plus I plus G and plus the double component in parentheses, where C stands for consumer's expenditure, I, business investment expenditure, G, government expenditure. And we are down to the very last component, a double one, X minus I M, where X stands for experts and IM stands for, very good, imports. Okay. All right, let me. Right. Before we move any further, let's be absolutely clear on this last component. Okay. When we say experts, or specifically US experts, what do we mean? Anybody? It's okay if you don't know. I'm just curious, maybe somebody does.
Like professionals in their job or something like that.
Okay. Not experts, experts.
Oh my, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a beautiful day. And I mean, listen, I didn't have a good night's sleep. I was selling kids. My cats were meowing crazy all night. I feel like zombie. It's okay. Yeah. What were you saying? Somebody else was saying something. Expert.
Yes, export means when you produce and you sell out of the country.
Excellent. Excellent. If we talk about US exports, we will take our domestic production, goods and services produced in the US and sell those to any other country. Very good. So think about it's like a channel. We sell our goods, they pay for the goods and services to us. We send the goods away, receive payments instead. Goods and services out, payments in. Very good. Very good. So experts, think of it as a double-sided channel, okay? We sell goods, receive money as exchange for the goods and services, okay? What about imports?
Import means when you bring some products from another country.
Yeah, very good.
You buy. Yeah.
Very good. Yes. When we, US, buy goods and services produced by any other country other than US. So goods are coming in and we send payments for those goods and services. Okay. So goods and services produced outside the US coming in as a payment for those goods and services. We send payment. We send the money out to whoever is selling those goods to us. Okay. Oh, this is okay. So this is okay. Let's leave the actual physical goods aside, put them aside. Let's look at the monetary, financial side of these two transactions. US exports, we receive the money. Funds are coming in. US imports, we send the money. Funds go out. Okay? US exports, incoming funds. US imports, outgoing funds. So when we take the incoming funds and subtract outgoing funds, the residual value is called net exports. US net exports. Okay. Now, you will never hear net exports. You will never hear anybody on the news discussing US net exports. What you will hear is how someone discusses trading account balance. That's exactly what it is. Oh. Trading account balance, or just trading balance, okay? Because exports and imports assume we are trading with other countries, okay? So there should be some kind of a balance on the account, and balance not in the sense that they're balanced, but there is some kind of a number when we take the incoming funds and subtract outgoing funds, okay? US exports, money coming in, so plus. US imports, money is going out, so minus, okay? Under these conditions, this component could be in its value equals 0, greater than 0, or less than 0, okay? So here's what we need to figure out. When are we having a trading account balance actually equal to 0? For what value of US exports and US imports? What do you think? Anybody? How do we compare the value of US exports and US imports when the difference is zero?
Do we compare from other countries to like try to see how they're at?
Okay, so this is US exports, money coming in. This is US imports, money is going out. Under what conditions will have this difference equal to zero?
If
Yeah,
we're
there's
it's the same.
Yep. When the incoming funds, right, match the outgoing funds. Very good. What if the account balance is a positive number?
there's more exports than imports.
Very good. Okay. Okay. What if the account balance has a negative number?
More imports.
We're importing more, right? Very good. Very good. So this last component, C plus I plus G plus net exports, is a double-sided component, okay? Before net exports, we talked about domestic consumers spending, domestic businesses spending, government spending. C plus I plus G was all about inside the country. Net exports, X minus IM, takes us outside the in-country spending. It brings other countries' goods and services that are producing and selling it to us. And at the same time, we're taking part of our output and selling it to them, okay? So trading balance, trading account balance. And that number that net export could be a positive, equal to zero, positive or negative, okay? Currently, we have a very large negative number for trading account balance simply because we have been importing a lot, okay? And it's good and it's bad, okay? There is, in economics, when we're trying to understand what's happening to the economy, the questions are no longer strictly white or black. They are becoming more of a shady grayish area, not because there's something shady business going on, because the answers are not as simple as we want them to be, okay? But for now, let's just understand what hides behind those capital letters. So capital C, we have total spending by regular consumers. Capital I, we have total spending by businesses on their investments in their businesses. Capital G, all the levels of government, their expenditure. And net exports is actually trading account balance. Okay, all of it combined together. Look, okay, consumer spending, businesses spending, government spending, account balance spending, and we're looking at the aggregate demand combined through the entire economy that is represented in dollar terms. How much all of us, different types of consumers, are willing to spend on goods and services we would like to consume. Total spending of the economy. Total spending of the economy. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far? So what we're going to do next, we're going to look at every one of these groups and discuss that specific group pressure points, because the pressure points are the reason a policy is being developed and implemented. Remember, those pressure points is to make us spend more or less. Right? So, first, okay, let's start with the basics. Our consumer expenditure, think of your individual spending, think of your family spending, think of all the friends, okay? Our consumer expenditure comes from our income, okay? Income is the source of our spending, okay? With respect to the income, okay, if you ever held a job and received a paper check, okay, right? Or if you ever done taxes, okay, and you receive W-2, there will be several types of income listed on your paycheck or on W-2. The first line will read gross income. Gross income, right? But this is not the amount of money you actually take home with you, right? Right? Okay. It's our income before any deductions or any taxes took place. Before taxes. Okay. Gross income is what shows up on a payroll in a business firm that you are working for. This is what that business firm sees. This is how much we're paying you. Okay. And if we combined gross income, income before taxes of every single worker of the entire nation, that combined income will be called national income. Okay, and when we talk about wealth of a country, wealth of a nation, we look at national incomes to compare and to discuss the wealth. Okay, but let's go back to our individual spendings. Okay, when we paid all the taxes, when we did all the deductions, the next line on the paycheck reads income after taxes, net income, or something that we called disposable income. This is the amount you're taking home with you to dispose of. Therefore, the name disposable income. Okay, and the disposable income is the source of our consumption. Okay. Okay. All right. I have some pictures to show, but not just right now. So I just want to free up some space for us. There we go. Okay, here we go. So we have income before taxes and deductions that we call gross income. And when we combine that income throughout a nation, that income total will be called national income. When we come down to take taxes and deductions, what's left is what we actually get paid and take home. That income is called disposable income, and that's the source of our consumer expenditure. Okay? And that disposable income is denoted through DI, disposable income. Okay? Any questions so far? In our discussion about disposable income, what happens to income and what happens to consumption, let's build a very simple diagram that represents reality. Very simple, okay? I would start with a brand new page, okay? It's a relatively large diagram. And somewhere to the left, and mostly on the middle, I will have my first component. Okay. And that's us, you and me and everybody else, consumers. It all starts with us. Remember, the reason you see goods and services offered for sale is because someone wants them. Okay. So here's how disposable income comes in. Disposable income comes in. Okay. What do people do with their incomes? Think of a real life-size paycheck. What do people do with those paychecks?
Pay rent, buy groceries.
Very good. We spend some of it, right? But we don't spend all of it, do we? What do you think?
I at least know with some of my, paycheck, what I do is I spend on some of the necessity things and I put some in savings.
Very good. Yes, very good. They all say, start thinking about the rainy day, whatever they mean, okay? In our different perspectives, we mean just do the savings, just in case. So when a paycheck comes in, it will be split. Some of it will be spent, food, groceries, clothes, gas, bills to pay, some entertainment, right? If anything. But some of it also will be saved. Very good. Okay. When we say saved, how do we mean? And I'm not asking about your individual personal experience, but when people say, I'm going to save some money, do we mean we're going to put extra cash in our favorite sock under the pillow, under the mattress?
No, most of the time you put it in like an interest-based savings.
Yes. You go to, the easiest way is to go to a local bank, right? And open a savings account or some fancy savings account, or some people even invest in the stock market, right? In the bond market. And actually investing in either of those two or two combined, you don't have to have a brokerage. You can just buy a share in a mutual fund that invests in the markets, right? We'll talk about this specifically when we hit the money discussion in chapter 13 or 12, okay? But for now, you're right. When we say save, we consider something that earns us interest rate. Definitely not a favorite sock or a shoe or a pillow. There is no learning, there is no growing under the pillow. You put $10 under the pillow today, in 12 months, it's still going to be $10. But if you put the $10, and it's, of course, it's a figure of speech, on a savings account, in a savings account, with the interest rate present, 12 months down the road, you're going to end up with more than $10 interest rate, right? But every time you consider buying an asset, opening an account with the interest rate, you are dealing with the US financial system, right? It doesn't matter which type of an account. You walk into a bank, you call your broker, you open a Roth retirement account, you save for your kids' college savings plan. Either one, all of these options will take you to a financial institution, which is a part of a financial system, okay? So this is what happens. We take our individual tiny little bitty savings that really don't mean much. when I consider mine, you consider yours, on an individual basis, they are tiny little bitty. But when we all bring them to the financial system, okay, the financial system aggregates all our individual savings into large business loans. Okay. Large business loans that are capital I. Okay, so here we are. Okay. Remember, we did say capital I is not about individual investments by consumers. It's about businesses spending money to enhance their business production. But those business loans, they are coming from our individual tiny little bitty savings. This is how we support the growth of capital formation. Remember, we talked about capital formation in previous chapter, right? Every dollar we take to a financial system helps grow the capital formation. Okay, so here is what we have right now. Capital C comes from consumers spending part of the paycheck. Capital I, it's business investment expenditure. Together, we are already at C plus I. Okay. Now, that financial system and institutions and the entire economy as a whole need rules to function by. So there is an institution or as an entity that manages the entire economy and helps the financial system run smoothly and efficiently, right? Okay. That entity that comes up with rules and regulations is the government. And now, and that entity, of course, has its own, let me see, oof, that's not what I meant. Has its own expenditure, right? Okay, so look what we have, C plus I plus G, right? And now we're ready to talk about those trading relationships, okay? And right? Exports, by exporting US made goods and services, we bring in dollar payments. By importing foreign made goods and services, we're sending away the money, okay? So look what we have at this time. C plus I plus G plus net exports. Okay, yeah. There we go, much better. Okay, C is consumers spending, I is business investment spending, G is government spending, and net exports is the spending trading balance. So all of it, again, when combined, C plus I plus G plus net exports is the economy total spending. Okay. When you look at this C plus I plus G plus net experts, what I want you to imagine, all of us taking all the money that we would like to spend and saying to business firms, here, take this money, give us a physical good or a service in exchange that we would like to consume. Okay, so here is the magic box. Okay. Right? We flush in, think of it really just as a magic box, okay? You put a dollar payment inside, push the red button, and then the screen lights up and it asks you, what would you like? And you push gallon of milk and voila, on the other side of the box, a gallon of milk being thrown at you, okay? Think of the firms from this point of view. We give them money in exchange for goods and services. Okay? Okay? All right? But firms by themselves, a building, electricity, water, equipment, they don't make those goods happen, right? Those firms, those entities need to have actual workers operating the equipment, inserting all the inputs, so the output, the goods and services, could be made and supplied to the markets. Okay, so look what happens. That labor comes from households, from consumers, right? We supply labor to firms. We sell our skills, our time, and we're compensated by the firms in a financial matter through paychecks. But again, remember what firms are seeing in their accounting books. They see gross income. Okay. Or national income. Let me, oh, I erased too much. Okay. Gross income. But this is not, we did say that before, this is not the amount of money we get to take home and spend, right? Okay. We pay taxes and other deductions. So there is a channel through which part of our gross income channeled to the government through taxes and other deductions. And that would be quite unfair if we had only that kind of channel when the money goes to the government only. Okay, so there is another type of channel through which we get money from the government. And that channel is called transfer payments. Transfer payments. Okay. We'll give it a couple of minutes, but for now, look what happens. We're getting paid gross income minus taxes plus transfer payments, and the result of these subtractions and additions is our disposable income. Okay. Okay. So let's take that couple of minutes to discuss transfer payments. Okay. All right. The textbook gives transfer payments extremely complicated definition. Okay, so I came up with my own. Transfer payments are monetary grants that we receive from the government because we qualify. Monetary grants from the government to qualifying individuals. Okay. Monetary grants from the government to qualifying individuals. What is a grant? Or let me put it this way. what is the difference between a loan and a grant?
A loan, you have to pay back. A grant, it's free money.
Yeah, the grant, it's just like a scholarship, right? The grant is you get this money and you're done. I mean, grants usually used to, you apply for a grant, you write a big explanation, what is it that you want to do? What do you need the money for? I'm using this word in defining transfer payments to show you that it's a money you receive from government because you qualified. You don't earn it. You don't get it in exchange for goods and services, okay? And therefore the examples, unemployment benefits, right? You don't offer anything to receive unemployment benefits. You prove to Social Security offices that you lost your job due not to your fault, okay? And that you're still a part of the labor market and you receive the unemployment benefits. Social Security pension. You get that simply because you hit the retirement age, which is 67, okay? Okay, let me write it nicely. Pension, okay? Food stamps, low income families help. All this money people receive because they qualify, okay? Not because they're earning it as an exchange. That's why I use the word grant, okay? Some people qualify, some don't. If you qualify, you will receive this money, okay? That's what transfer payments are. Money from the government because we qualify. Okay, any questions? Anything that confuses you? No? Okay, okay. So let's go back to our diagram. Luckily it fits into screen. So look what happens. Everything starts with consumers, okay? We spend and we save. Our savings support the financial system and support business loans for businesses. So support capital I. The government chips in, okay? And then we have the trading channels, exports and imports, okay? Right? Now, for the sake of the argument, let's assume just for a minute, okay? Let's assume just for a minute that exports equals imports and net exports is 0. For this diagram to keep circling, for the money keep circling without stopping, without hesitation, without creating some kind of a financial difficulties, for the funds keep circling, the firms keep producing and delivering goods, it must be that the incoming value, how much we're willing to spend, okay, is matched by how much we're getting paid, okay? For the diagram, okay, I need to move that further away, and this one too, further away, okay. For this diagram, to keep pumping funds through the economy, it must be the total expenditure, okay, that money that we throw in at firms in hopes of exchange for goods and services. Oh, is matched by gross income. Okay. Okay, but we also told gross income combined through the entire nation.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
For this diagram to keep, what is that word?
Pumping
Pumping.
funds through the economy, for the funds to keep flowing. I use the word pumping, you can say keep flowing funds through the economy, okay? All right, it must be that total expenditure is matched by gross income, but gross income is our national income, and total expenditure, okay? And total expenditure is C plus I plus G plus net exports, which is also aggregate demand. But we also say at any given point in time, the economy operates at the equilibrium where aggregate demand is matched by the aggregate supply or output. So all this reasoning, where it takes us, to the national income identity. Okay, national income national income identity. Okay, where we have output equals to national income, and the equality that you see on your screens is not a regular double line equality, it's a triple line equality. And I don't do that to reinforce that two numbers must be equal. The triple equality sign explains that this is an identity. And an identity is a statement that is true all the time. It does not require proving, okay? True all the time. Doesn't matter whether it's a developed country, developing country, whether we are in expansion or in a recession, okay? The national income identity states that output is equal to national income or combined gross income of a country. Okay. All right. What's so specific, so important about this identity? Well, look what it does. It equates output with gross income. What can we do with it? Well, we will have some different discussions about different nations' incomes. But nations' incomes is a private information. It's not part of public domain. If we are to compare different nations' incomes, if we actually need those numbers, we'll have to pay for those. But I mean, seriously, for the sake of this class and any argument, we're not going to buy any information. What can we do if we need to compare a nation's incomes? We use this equality or identity and substitute national incomes for the country's outputs, okay? So to say that GDP or output equals to national income is to say that national incomes equal to output GDP. We're going to use this back and forth comparison or equality to come up with output and use it anytime we need it or anytime we use national incomes. That's the beauty of this identity. Okay? And we actually going to use this identity right now. Okay? Remember we talked about disposable income, which is gross income minus taxes based on the diagram plus transfer payments. Well, we all have different gross incomes, right? Okay. So we can define disposable income as our gross income or output minus taxes plus transfer payments. Okay. All right. Or we can use TRPP P for abbreviation. Okay, disposable income equals Y minus tax plus TRP, which is TRP, simply an abbreviation for transfer payments. Okay. Where are we going with that? Well, disposable income is a source of our spending. That capital C, okay, that's where it's coming from the disposable income. Okay, let's see. Any questions so far? No? Okay, let's look at a couple of diagrams, all right? So I'm going to move this one a little bit further away, and there we go. Okay. Oh, that is, there we go, there. That's what I wanted, to make it larger. Actually, maybe a little bit more larger so you guys could see. Ooh, it's quite temperamental today. There. Okay, here. Okay, all right, I got it. Don't need to be so sensitive. Okay. So, disposable income, right, versus consumer expenditure. What do you see on your screen? I'm not sure if you see that the two lines have different colors. Do you see it?
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay. So how about this? We're going to call these two lines, there is an upper line. There is an upper line. And this is the lower line. We'll just have to talk about this lower line. Upper line and lower line. Yes, I could hardly tell the difference between the colors. The upper line is in black and the lower line is actually in blue. Red probably would have been better, but we got what we got. Okay. What you guys are seeing is real disposable income through time, upper line, and real consumer spending through time. Okay. First of all, the major conclusion, you see those two lines are moving through time together, almost like hand in hand, right? Look at this. I'm gonna, you know what? Let me use a red one. Look at all the changes in the upper line, right? You see a change in the upper line and the lower line repeats the same change, maybe at a slightly later time, delayed or exaggerated, but it does repeat the behavior of the upper line, okay? Look how close these two lines are. Look how close they are, okay, right? The closeness of the two lines supports the notion that consumer expenditure relies heavily on disposable income. When income increases, consumer expenditure increases. When income decreases, consumer expenditure decreases as well. Okay, all right? So we will say that disposable income, given that it's an upper line, okay, disposable income drives our spending. Okay, it's the same thing to say if our disposable income increases, we could afford to spend more, so consumer expenditure increases. If our disposable income decreases, consumer expenditure will have to increase because we won't have the luxury of spending as much as before. Okay. questions so far? Okay, so we are going to stop our work with chapter 8 on this specific picture, okay, with understanding that disposable income is very closely connected to consumer expenditure and that disposable income is driving consumer expenditure. Okay, right. We will come back and pick up where we left today next time when we meet. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And